To assign sections of the blue sheet to certain individuals, we can first go in and delete these blank areas because they're fields for text and we want some people to enter initials. So we'll select them and just hit that little trash can for the delete button. And then we can go in and select initial from the Manage Fields tab on the left. So I size the bar so that it fits perfectly within the reviewer underline we have there. And then once the three of them are placed, we can go in and assign who should be initialing. So we do that by clicking on the NA for not assigned, and we'll enter the email address for those who will need to complete this portion of the blue sheet. Here we have entered Todd's email, and while we're entering emails, I usually just go ahead and enter the emails of everyone who will be filling out a portion of the blue sheet. By doing this, we are saving ourselves time later rather than going in and entering the email addresses each time the field has a blank that needs to be assigned to an individual. So because I already know that the people reviewing the fund agreement will be filling out this section of the blue sheet, I entered all of their email addresses first, followed by Greg's email because he would be filling out the FE portion of the blue sheet, James's email because he will be filling out the RE portion of the blue sheet. And if you make a typo or anything like that, like I just did, you can just go in and edit the email address, and it's no big deal. I also know Joanne completes it after James, and then we need to have Shelly sign after Joanne. So then we'll add her email address, and Thomas usually goes after Shelly, so I'll add Thomas's email address in here as well. Finally, I usually end up going back in and doing the last portion of the blue sheet so I can send it to myself if I need to, or whoever will be completing that last portion. Then from this drop down, we can click on whoever that field is assigned to. So because that initial field is assigned to Todd, I selected his email address. Tracy's email address can go here, and the next initial field will be for Tammy, so I'll select her email address here. It's nice that they're color-coded because it makes it easier to choose. Here is Greg's section of the blue sheet, so I'm going to go in and select each of the fields that he will be working on and assign them to Greg. The date fields are already set up for text automatically, so I delete them and I import the calendar from the sidebar on the left just so that it'll automatically populate the date when Greg goes in. So I click delete, navigate to the bar on the left, make sure that calendar's clicked, and that adds in the date, and then we can assign it to Greg. So I go through and repeat that process for each of these fields that can be deleted, and that will drop in the date, and we'll assign it to Greg. This next field we can just assign to Greg. It's already text, and he'll just type his name there. And then this we can delete and make sure that there's a date field and assign it to Greg as well. And then this last one we'll assign to Greg. Delete the date, and import the automatic date field, and assign that to Greg. Here we have the section for Razor's Edge setup. I deleted the blank above it because no one needs to fill anything out there. So I assign this to James and make sure that there's a date field for him to fill out as well. James also fills out that section for approvals required. Then Joanne does the Razor's Edge review, so I select her name from the drop-down list there and enter a date field for her to populate as well. Then here we have a signature section, so I select signature from the tab on the left and drop it in, and then I just resize it so that it fits perfectly on the line where we will need Shelly's signature. And then I select her email address from the drop-down menu so that it is assigned to her. And do the same thing for her date field as we have with the others, where we select date and drop in the date automatic populated field and assign it to Shelly. We're then going to go back into the GE setup. So we know that Thomas completes this portion, so we'll select his email address there and give him a date field to populate as well and assign that to Thomas. And these sections we don't use right now of the blue sheet. They're there in case we ever do end up using them, but so I just delete those fields because we haven't used those since I've started at OCCF. What we do use is the DR attributes. Thomas fills that out, so I assign that field to him as well as this date field. And I delete that blank because we just don't need it. And then ultimately, I've been moving them to the appropriate folder once they're complete, so whoever will be completing that section can choose their email address from the drop-down and automatically have a date field populate for them as well. And any areas that accidentally get clicked or anything like that, you can just select and have those deleted just with the delete button as you have for the date. You can then request the signatures from others. If you would like to change the order that they're signing in, you can just drag and drop like so. These are already in a good order for us to use, so we can go ahead and send it off, but this is just an example of how you can rearrange the order if you need to. We'll then hit send the request, and we are done.